Okay, New Testament reading today. The beginning of St. Paul's letter to the Colossians. So just quickly, Colossia, or wherever it's called, Colossia. How did you say it? Don't worry about it. All right, you know what I mean. Okay. So southwest modern day Turkey, Asia Minor back in the day. St. Paul wrote this letter, let me put it this way. This letter is very similar to that of his letter to the Ephesians in both content and structure. And so I think a very good theory, and I think it's a very good one, is that St. Paul wrote this letter to the Colossians first. It's more geared towards them. Ephesians is more general and more refined. So probably what happened is Paul and Timothy wrote this letter, sent it to the Colossians, and then took a copy of this letter, made some minor adjustments, made it more refined, made it more general, and then sent it to Ephesus, to the Ephesians, along with the other Christian communities around that area. Okay, so the same thing with his letter to the Galatians, where it's geared more towards the Galatians, and then it's more refined and more general to the letter to the Romans. Okay, which is again is more just more of a general sense. So that's probably what's going on here. Quickly, again, this letter, kind of like some of the letters of St. Paul, he's writing about a problem, and he assumes that the readers know exactly what he's talking about. And the readers assume, that they know what St. Paul is talking about, but we don't know all the contents of what's going on in the community. Okay, so we're kind of left with this guesswork. What seems to be happening is, this is a church that wasn't found by St. Paul, but found by this Ephesus guy. Okay, he started the church there. But St. Paul hears about it, hears about the great work that's happening, but there's also something going on. There's this mysterious philosophy that's being passed around amongst fellow Christians, okay, not outsiders, but from within the church. And this philosophy, from the details that we get in the contents, this philosophy seems to deal with things like a very extreme physical asceticism, okay, and also a philosophy that's based on mysterious revelations by angels and principalities. Okay, so they're going to these mystic visions and revelations from these mysterious spiritual beings. I would say they're demons disguised as angels. Okay, now St. Paul doesn't say that. That's just my theory. So you think of kind of like the New Age stuff today. A lot of times they're going to these mysterious spiritual forces, which, again, I believe they're just demons in disguise, and that's just leading to all sorts of problems spiritually for the person. So, with that then, when we look at today's first reading, the opening address of St. Paul, he kind of hints as to where he wants to go with this letter. So if we go down to the last part of this letter, I'll read it again. Of this you have already heard through the word of truth. Okay, remember, we're talking about a false philosophy here. So the word of truth, the gospel that has come to you. Just as in the whole world it is bearing fruit and growing, so also among you. From the day you have heard it and came to know the grace of God in truth, okay, philosophy, as you learned it from Ephraim, our beloved fellow slave, who was a trustworthy minister of Christ on your behalf, and who also told us of your love in the Spirit. So what St. Paul is saying here, and how he's going to elaborate in the rest of this letter, two quick things. One, you already have the whole truth in Jesus Christ. You don't need to rely on these mysterious private revelations from these mysterious spiritual beings. You don't need those. Everything that you need to know for the sake of your salvation is going to be within the context of the preaching of Jesus Christ as given to you by St. Paul and his fellow ministers in Christ Jesus. And then second, just as in the whole world it has also grown and bearing fruit, meaning that this isn't just for you. Again, going to this whole idea of private revelations and secret knowledge. This isn't just for you. You're part of a bigger process through which the whole world is growing in this truth. This is a universal truth. And so as Catholics, we believe that the public revelation of God the Father ends through the preaching of the apostles. So it began in Christ and it ended with the death of the last apostles. So we're not called to get caught up in secret, private knowledge and insight. I know it's very fascinating and it's intriguing, and a lot of Catholics get caught up in it. But we have everything within the scriptures, within the tradition handed to us from the apostles, and has taught and elaborated through us through the magisterium of the church. May God bless you.